Have you ever felt like someone suddenly started ignoring you for no apparent reason? One day, they're talking to you like normal, and the next, your messages go unanswered, their eyes avoid yours, and the distance between you grows. Why does this happen? Did you do something wrong? Or is there something going on that you're completely unaware of? That feeling of being ignored, of being pushed aside, can be unsettling. It can make you question yourself, doubt your actions. But hold on, don't jump to conclusions just yet. Sometimes the reason isn't about you at all. It's about them, the ones who choose to walk away without a word. Have you noticed how some people just disappear from your life without explanation? One day they care, and the next they pull away. No clear reason, no goodbye. What are they thinking? Why are they doing this? And more importantly, how should you respond? In this video, we're going to break down the 7 most common reasons why someone might suddenly ignore you. And more importantly, how you can handle it with wisdom and composure, just like a true Stoic. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Ethan sat quietly in his favorite cafe, staring out the window. The rain drizzled softly, mirroring the heaviness in his heart. A week ago, his group of friends suddenly started ignoring him. No more messages, no more invites to hang out. Just silence. He had tried to figure it out. Had he done something wrong, said something offensive? But the more he thought about it, the more confused he became. With no other choice, he decided to visit Mr. Harris, the mentor he always turned to when life felt uncertain. Ethan sat across from Mr. Harris, an older man with a calm presence and eyes full of wisdom. "Ethan, why are they ignoring me, sir? Did I do something wrong?" Mr. Harris slowly stirred his tea, studying Ethan before speaking. "Mr. Harris, are you sure you did something wrong?" Ethan hesitated. He wasn't sure. He just felt lost. "Mr. Harris, have you ever seen a ship leave the harbor without warning?" Ethan looked up, puzzled. "Mr. Harris, life is like a harbor. People enter your life like ships docking at the shore. Some stay for a long time, some only stop briefly before sailing away. And the reason they leave? Most of the time, it has nothing to do with you." Ethan listened carefully. "Mr. Harris, some people leave because they feel envious of you. Some are influenced by gossip and misinformation. Others simply find a new direction in life. But do you know what's most important?" Ethan shook his head. "Mr. Harris, you can't control which ships stay or leave, but you can control how you respond to it." Ethan sighed, but this time, the weight on his chest felt lighter. He was starting to understand. Not every fading connection was his fault. Sometimes, people ignore you not because you did something wrong, but because they are battling their own struggles. And sometimes, they are simply ships passing through your harbor. Ethan smiled, taking a sip of his coffee. He understood now. And this time, he wouldn't dwell on the ships that had sailed away. So, let's get started with reason number 1. They were negatively influenced by someone else. Have you ever experienced this? Someone who used to be close to you suddenly starts avoiding you. No more texts, no more conversations like before. You wonder what you did wrong, but the truth is, maybe you did nothing at all. Sometimes, people ignore you not because you did something wrong, but because they did. They feel guilty, but instead of facing you, they choose to distance themselves. Ethan walked into his usual cafe. He sat down, looking around. His friends weren't there. In fact, they hadn't talked to him in over a week. He sent a message, no reply. Just seen, frustrated, he decided to confront one of them in person. But as soon as he stepped into the office, they quickly looked away and rushed out of the room. What was going on? Some people choose silence not because they don't care, but because they feel guilty. They did something wrong to you. Maybe they spread a rumor about you. Maybe they betrayed your trust. And instead of apologizing, they avoid you. Think of a cat sneaking into the kitchen to steal some fish. It knows it did something wrong, but when you walk in, it doesn't come to apologize. It runs away hiding under the table, Not because you're scary, but because it's too ashamed to face you. Humans are the same. When they've done something wrong, they don't want to look at you. Not because you are the problem, but because you remind them of their own conscience. Epictetus once said, "We cannot control what others think of us, but we can control how we respond to it." So what should you do when someone suddenly ignores you? First, don't blame yourself. Remember, the reason might have nothing to do with you. They could be struggling with their own guilt. Next, give them space. If someone feels guilty, they will either find their way back or drift away completely. And if they choose to leave, then they were never truly meant to stay. Following that, keep living well. Don't let someone else's actions disturb your peace. Focus on the things that truly matter to you. You can't force someone to face their guilt, but you can choose to move forward without letting it shake your self-worth. Reason number 2, they are jealous of you. Have you ever noticed that when you're struggling, people are quick to support you, but when you start succeeding, some of them suddenly distance themselves? At first, you think it's just a coincidence, but then you realize that the people who once laughed with you are now keeping their distance. Your messages go unanswered. Plans get canceled without a reason. Slowly, you become a stranger to them, even though you've done nothing wrong. So what's really happening? Ethan once had a close friend named Daniel. They shared everything. Their dreams, their struggles, their failures. But one day, Ethan received a major career opportunity. He worked hard, pushed through obstacles, and finally achieved the success he had been striving for. Excited, Ethan told Daniel the good news. But instead of celebrating with him, Daniel gave a half-hearted smile and quickly changed the subject. At first, Ethan didn't think much of it, but over time, he noticed that Daniel was no longer the same. Their conversations became dull and forced. His congratulations didn't sound sincere. And then, one day, Daniel completely stopped talking to him. Ethan was confused. Had he done something wrong? Had he offended Daniel in some way? But the truth was, he hadn't done anything. Daniel didn't walk away because Ethan did something wrong. He walked away because Ethan's success made him feel like he was falling behind. Jealousy is a strange emotion. It's not always about hate, it's about discomfort. It's the pain of seeing someone else achieve what you wish you had. Imagine someone running a race. They're doing their best, but then they see you sprinting ahead. It's not that they're angry at you. It's that they can't ignore the feeling of falling behind, and so they pull away. Not because you're a bad person, but because being around you reminds them of what they haven't achieved yet. Seneca once said, "A man who never compares himself to others will never feel jealousy." But humans always compare. And when they see you grow, something inside them whispers, "Why them and not me?" So what should you do? First, don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Never hide your success just to keep someone around. A true friend will celebrate your growth, not run from it. Next, understand, but don't chase. Jealousy isn't always rooted in malice. Sometimes, it comes from insecurity. If someone distances themselves because they feel inferior, give them space. But don't change who you are just to make them feel better. Then, keep moving forward. The right people will stay in your life. Keep growing, and you'll attract those who support you rather than feel threatened by you. Remember, you can't control how others feel, but you can control how you respond. And the best way to deal with jealousy is to keep rising despite it. Reason number 3, you unintentionally hurt them. Have you ever felt someone suddenly change their attitude toward you, and you had no idea why? They stopped talking as much, their eyes became distant, and it felt like an invisible wall had formed between you. You try to think back, did I do something wrong? But there's no clear answer. Everything seems the same. Except they're no longer the same. Ethan and Sophia had been close friends. They shared everything, from small daily stories to big life plans. But lately, Sophia had been distant. Messages were left unread. Plans were canceled without explanation, and when they did meet, The conversation felt forced. Ethan felt uneasy. One day, he decided to ask directly, "Sophia, is something wrong? You've been acting different lately." Sophia hesitated for a moment before replying. "No, it's nothing," but Ethan knew better. Something was wrong. He tried to remember. And then a vague memory surfaced. A week ago, during a casual conversation, he had made a joke about something. To him, it was just harmless banter. But to Sophia, it might have touched a wound she had never spoken about. Ethan sighed. He hadn't meant to hurt her, but that didn't mean she hadn't been hurt. Have you ever realized that the deepest wounds don't always come from deliberate cruelty? Sometimes they come from words spoken carelessly. A joke, a comment, an action that you didn't think twice about, but that cut deeply for someone else. Like stepping on a wound that hasn't healed. You didn't mean to, but the pain is real. And instead of telling you, they choose to walk away. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Treat the mistakes of others with kindness, for one day, you too may make a mistake." You may not have intended to hurt them, but that doesn't mean the hurt doesn't exist. So what should you do when someone distances themselves because you unintentionally hurt them? First, listening instead of assuming. If you feel someone pulling away, ask them sincerely. Don't assume, don't judge, just ask. Did I do something that upset you? Then apologize if needed, but don't force it. If you unintentionally hurt someone, be willing to apologize. But remember, a genuine apology doesn't come with pressure for them to forgive you immediately. Give them space to process. And finally, respect their emotions, but don't let them control you. If someone chooses to walk away in silence rather than communicate, it's not entirely your fault. Sometimes, people need to learn how to handle their emotions instead of running from them. Do what you can to fix things, but don't punish yourself for an unintentional mistake. You can't control how others react, but you can control how you handle the situation. And sometimes, the lesson isn't about trying to hold on to someone. It's about facing the truth and continuing to grow. Reason number 4, you refuse to help them with something. Have you ever had someone distance themselves from you after you said no to them? They were friendly, always around, until the moment you couldn't give them what they wanted. Suddenly, they became cold, distant, maybe even ignored you completely. At first, you wonder if you did something wrong. But deep down, you know, all you did was set a boundary. Ethan had always been the type of person who helped others whenever he could. Friends, co-workers, even acquaintances. Whenever someone needed something, he was there. One day, his old friend Chris reached out. "Hey Ethan, can you help me with this project? I really need someone to back me up." Ethan had been swamped with his own work, barely keeping up with deadlines. He wanted to help, but he knew that if he said yes, he'd be sacrificing his own responsibilities. So, for the first time in a long time, Ethan said, "I'm really sorry, Chris, but I can't this time." Chris responded with a short, dry message. "All right, no problem." Ethan thought everything was fine. Until he noticed that Chris had stopped reaching out. No more casual check-ins, no more invitations to hang out. Conversations that once felt natural now felt forced. And then, silence. It's a strange thing. Some people don't ignore you because they dislike you. They ignore you because they no longer need you. As long as you were saying yes, they were around. But the moment you set a boundary, their attitude changed. It's like a vending machine. As long as it gives out snacks, people come back. But the moment it stops working, they walk away without a second thought. And sometimes it's not even about the favor itself, it's about their own struggles. Maybe they're going through a tough time, feeling overwhelmed, and instead of communicating, they withdraw. They shut down, and you happen to be one of the people they pull away from. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You cannot control how people react when you set a boundary, but you can control how much power you give their reaction over your peace of mind. So what should you do when someone ignores you after you refuse to help them? First, don't feel guilty for protecting your time and energy. Helping others is great, but not at the cost of your own well-being. Saying no is not selfish, it's necessary. Then, understand, but don't chase. If someone distances themselves because you couldn't do something for them, let them go. Real relationships are built on mutual respect, not transactional favors. Following that, surround yourself with people who value you for who you are, not what you can do for them. True friends won't disappear just because you said no once. Pay attention to those who stay, even when you have nothing to offer. At the end of the day, you're not here to be a vending machine for people's needs. You're here to live your life. And those who truly respect you will never make their presence conditional on what you can do for them. Reason number 5, they are going through personal issues. Have you ever felt like someone suddenly became distant for no apparent reason? Someone who once confided in you, laughed with you, and shared their thoughts. Suddenly cold, indifferent, even ignoring you completely. You try to remember. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something to upset them? But no matter how much you think, you can't find an answer. So what happened? Ethan and Jake had been best friends since college. They had each other's backs, supported one another through challenges, and shared their dreams. But one day, Ethan noticed something had changed. Jake no longer responded to messages the way he used to. Their conversations became brief and forced. And then, one afternoon, Ethan walked into their favorite cafe and saw Jake sitting with a group of friends. Jake saw him too, but instead of waving like he always did, he looked away. Pretending Ethan wasn't even there, Ethan froze. A few days later, Ethan heard from a mutual friend that a rumor had been going around. Someone had told Jake that Ethan had betrayed him, a complete lie. But Jake believed it without even asking Ethan for the truth. Ethan felt frustrated. Why wouldn't Jake just ask me? Why didn't he trust me more than some baseless rumor? But then, he realized something. Sometimes, people don't ignore you because you did something wrong. They ignore you because they are struggling with something inside themselves. Because they are hurt, confused, or caught in their own negative emotions. Maybe someone fed them false information about you. Maybe they're dealing with something in their own life, and they don't have the mental energy to separate fact from fiction. They distance themselves not because they hate you, but because they don't know how to handle their own feelings. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When someone wrongs you, don't react immediately. Ask yourself, what is making them act this way? Once you understand that, you'll know how to respond calmly. You cannot control what people hear about you, but you can control how you respond to it. So what should you do when someone distances themselves because they believe something untrue? First, don't rush to explain if they aren't ready to listen. When someone has already been influenced by false information, they may not be open to hearing the truth right away. Trying to explain too soon might only make them push you further away. Next, let time reveal the truth. Rumors spread fast, but the truth always lasts. If you know you did nothing wrong, keep living your life with integrity. The people who truly care will eventually see the truth for themselves. And then, don't let their misunderstanding drag you down. If someone chooses to believe lies instead of trusting you, that is their decision. Don't let their doubts define your self-worth. Sometimes, people distance themselves not because they dislike you, but because they are battling their own demons. And when that happens, remember, you can't control their thoughts, but you can control how you move forward. Reason number 6, they found a new group of friends. Have you ever noticed that some people who were once close to you suddenly change? They stop making time for you. They no longer text first, and gradually they become distant. And then you realize they've found a new group of friends. At first, you think they're just busy, but then when you see them laughing and having fun with others, you start wondering, did I do something wrong? But sometimes you did nothing at all. Ethan and Lucas had been best friends since high school. They were there for each other through everything. Late-night gaming sessions, deep conversations about the future and countless inside jokes. But when they went to college, things started to change. Lucas joined a sports club and met a lot of new people. At first, Ethan was still part of the conversations. But slowly, Lucas got busier. Their meetups became rare. Texts took longer to get a reply. One day, Ethan decided to call Lucas. "Hey, you've been really busy lately. We haven't hung out in a while." Lucas responded quickly, "Yeah, sorry. I've just had so much going on. Let's catch up soon." But soon never came. And then Ethan noticed that Lucas still had time for his new group of friends. They hung out, took pictures, and posted them online. Lucas wasn't too busy. He had just chosen to spend time elsewhere. Some people don't distance themselves from you because they dislike you. They do it because they're trying to fit into a new social circle. It's like a fish swimming from a small pond into the open sea. It doesn't forget the pond, but it starts adapting to a bigger space, to new schools of fish. Not because the pond was bad, but because it now belongs somewhere else. People do the same. When they find a new group, they often adjust to fit in. And sometimes that means leaving old connections behind. Epictetus once said, "What is meant for you will come to you, and what is not will leave, no matter how tightly you hold on." You can't control how people change, but you can control how you choose to accept it. So what should you do when someone drifts away because they've found a new group of friends? First, don't hold on to something that no longer fits. If someone chooses to leave your friendship behind to fit in somewhere else, let them go. A real connection won't be replaced just because of changing circumstances. Then, focus on relationships that truly last. The people who genuinely value you won't disappear just because they meet new people. Invest your time and energy in those who stay, no matter what. Finally, keep growing and expanding your own world. Don't just look at the people who have left. Instead, open yourself up to new connections. You, too, can find a place where you truly belong. People change. That's part of life. But instead of mourning the ones who drift away, cherish the ones who stay. And most importantly, keep moving forward. Because somewhere out there, the right people for you are waiting. Reason number 7, they feel guilty for doing something wrong. Have you ever helped someone over and over again, only for them to suddenly distance themselves the moment you couldn't help anymore? At first, you think they're mad at you, but then you realize, it's not that you did something wrong, it's that they feel guilty for what they've done to you. Ethan had always been the kind of person who helped others whenever he could. If a friend needed something, he was there. If a co-worker was struggling, he'd stay late to help. One of the people who often relied on him was Ryan. Ryan was always missing deadlines, always getting into trouble with their boss. And every time, Ethan was the one to cover for him. Ethan never really minded. He thought that's just what friends do. But one day, Ethan had his own responsibilities to take care of. When Ryan called him last minute, asking for help, Ethan had no choice but to say, "Sorry, Ryan, I can't help this time." There was a pause on the other end of the phone. "Oh, yeah, no problem," Ryan said shortly. Ethan didn't think much of it, but from that day on, Ryan became distant. No more casual messages, no more lunch invites. A week passed, then a month. Ethan realized Ryan no longer saw him as a friend. This wasn't the first time this had happened. Some people become so used to your help that they start to expect it. When you're always there, it feels normal to them. But the moment you say no, they don't just feel disappointed. They feel exposed. They realize how much they depended on you. They feel embarrassed, ashamed, guilty. And instead of facing those emotions, they choose to walk away. Epictetus once said, "A man cannot be friends with those who only value him for their own gain." You can't force someone to stay if their friendship was only based on what you could provide. So what should you do when someone distances themselves because they feel guilty? First, don't feel guilty for setting boundaries. You can't always be the one carrying everything. If someone only values you when you're helping them, they never truly valued you in the first place. Next, don't chase after them. If someone feels too guilty to face you, that's their issue, not yours. If they truly care about you, they'll come back once they realize what really matters. Following that, surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are. True friendships don't exist only when you're useful to someone. They're based on mutual respect and care. Focus on the relationships that don't come with conditions. Some people don't leave because they hate you. They leave because they don't know how to handle their own guilt. And when that happens, remember, not everyone who walks away is a loss. Sometimes it's a lesson in who truly deserves to stay. So, we've explored the 7 reasons why someone might suddenly ignore you. And if there's one key takeaway from all of this, it's this: never let someone else's actions make you question your own worth. Sometimes, people walk away not because you did something wrong, but because they're dealing with their own struggles. Some are jealous of you. Some believe false rumors, some feel guilty, and some are simply changing. But no matter the reason, your job is not to dwell on their departure or to chase after those who no longer want to stay. You can't control how others treat you, but you can always control how you respond. So instead of asking, "Why are they ignoring me?" ask yourself, "Do I really need people like this in my life?" Appreciate those who stay. The ones who are there for you no matter what. The ones who value you for who you are, not just what you can do for them. And if someone leaves, let them go. Don't look back. Because on your journey, the right people will always find their way to you. If you found this video valuable, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content about Stoicism and emotional mastery. And if you've ever experienced someone ignoring you for no clear reason, drop a thank God in the comments below. I want to hear your stories. I'll be reading all of them. See you in the next video.